Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 127 of the All In Football Fantasy Premier League show and podcast. I'm your host, the self-proclaimed FPL guru, Alex Rex, and joining me today are my usual suspects of the differential king, Barry Stokes, and the voice of the people, Scott Williams. Barry, where are you parked today? Oh, he's
I
frozen.
parked where
Oh,
where
oh,
I
he's
was
not.
last week.
Oh, he's back.
Oh,
Sorry,
oh.
I lost you then, Buzz. For a sec. It's a good start, isn't it? That. Go on. You parked where you were last week.
Yeah. I parked where I last week. Yeah. So there was limited action. The only thing I saw was a fox cross the road. So yeah, maybe that's an omen
Oh,
for Leicester.
uh, well, yeah, they are
We're going to get
playing.
run over.
Maybe.
They are playing Spurs this week, so it's one of the easiest games at the moment on the calendar, isn't it? So we'll see what happens this weekend. Scott, how are you?
Yeah, good. Just getting get a little bet on Bet365. Watkins with a shot on target for evens. If anyone wants to get on that, too late because obviously the game's already happened. So yeah, sucks to be you because I won a tenner.
Yeah, I won't get this out in time before the Villa game starts. But yes, thank you ever so much for everyone for joining us this week. Don't forget to follow us on social media platforms: Football Pod, P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And do not forget to follow the FPL Affairs Facebook group where Barry posts regular content from the All in Football Fantasy Premier League podcast. And also, don't forget to like this video on YouTube, guys. Like the video on YouTube. Sign into YouTube and join our legions of subscribers. We are getting 50 odd people watch us on YouTube every week and only like 3 likes. So either you're all watching it and not liking it, or you're just not clicking that like button. So give us a like, to help boost the podcast. So I'd really appreciate that. And
Is
also
it
don't forget to go on.
just yeah, like and subscribe as well, guys. Come on, and get involved in get involved in the differential drafts, etc. Is it worth us getting on OnlyFans? Do we think?
What, Baz is going to do a tour of car parks of the UK, or
Well, yeah, I mean, OnlyFans gets a bad
That's
rep
it. Yeah.
because it's not all about the tits and ass. Like, there's a lot going on in OnlyFans.
Certain content.
Apparently,
Yeah.
someone's told me. But yeah, you can do anything on OnlyFans. You can, you tell someone how to roast the chicken, or you can tell someone how to butcher a game week. Hey, Baz. So yeah, one to consider if you wanted to get on
Isak, what
OnlyFans
did
for
he do
any of
this
the
week?
reasons. Go on, mate.
What did Isak do this week?
Sorry,
Oh
I
yeah,
can't see you
yeah.
all the way down there, mate. Anyway, crack on, Alex. Come on, we've got a podcast to get through.
um, I think Scott remembered that his mum listens to the podcast when he started talking about us on OnlyFans. But anyway, let's take that swig. He's swinging a cup of tea for everyone who's watching now.
She'll
He's
be
like,
supportive.
yeah, absolutely.
With his
Um,
OnlyFans mug.
we've got a very familiar manager of the week, chaps. Nicola Tomlinson is back.
Back.
79 points. Game week rank 85k in the world out of 11 mil. And she did 79 points, 2 transfers in, and played her bench boost. So Sells in goal, Robinson, Kukureya. I mean, who knew he was going to score? Gabriel, Erdegaard, Iwobi, Gibbs White, Palmer, Isak, Jackson, and the captain of choice was Chris Wood, and that is the man who is bench boost. The Henderson clean sheet, Trent Alexander-Arnold, a Estupinian, and Ismaila Sarr. So good bench boost there of 22 points. So you take that for a bench boost all day long. And Scott's already called it early. Is this week the week for the bench boost? And we will discuss that. I do want to give a shout out as well because I always try to if the manager of the week used a chip. I'm going to give this shout out to Martin Murray, who was the manager of the week who didn't use a chip. So no Salah. Ha. Flecken, Lewis, Gabriel. You've still got Lewis, Martin. Gabriel. Maybe he's coming back into fashion. We'll talk about City in a bit, actually. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Gibbs White, Phil Foden, captain. Now that is Baz is absolutely devastated. That's the rogue shout of the week, but he's back, most informed player in the last four game weeks now. Phil Foden, Palmer, Bruno Fernandes, Isak, Gakpo, and Visser with a 2-2-2 across the front line. Overall, a really low scoring week. 46 points was the average. So if you did anything better than maybe 55, 60, you're absolutely laughing this week. You'll probably made some pretty good gains in across your mini leagues. I think I got 48 and I still got a green arrow in the overall rank and a couple of mini leagues. So yeah, it's one of those game weeks. Let's have a quick look at the a wider picture, I'm going to try and make this a bit bigger on the screen. Can you guys see that? The fixture ticker, fixture planner, sorry, on the screen. Yeah, Scott's
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
as close as he possibly can do. Good, because I didn't know if it worked. So we are at now January the 21st. So this is where the midweek happens for the European football, because it's back. So we've got midweek 7 and midweek 8 surrounding game week 23, and that'll be the end of the group stages of the Champions League, Europa League, and Europa Conference League. We then have game week 24, which is the double game week for Liverpool. And this obviously is a slightly old graphics. It still says there's a chance it could be double game week 25, but it isn't. And then we have round 4 of the FA Cup, and so before that, we have the semi-final second leg, and then we have round 4 of the FA Cup. So there's quite a lot of fixtures for Arsenal. For example, they've not got a free midweek, but they have a free weekend for the round 4 of the FA Cup because may have got beaten by the worst Man United team in history in the last round of the FA Cup. But they've got fixtures either side, and they've obviously got a deficit to make up to Newcastle as well. And then you've got Liverpool with a lot of fixtures as well surrounding that. So yeah, there's a bit of the very few free midweeks. That's the point I'm trying to make. So beware rotation for these teams in Europe, and also the ones that are obviously still in the cup. And now we'll start to probably see a little bit more value in the teams that aren't in Europe. For example, you've got maybe Newcastle or someone to focus on. So that's the landscape moving forward. If you have a look at the fixture ticker, let's start off, lads, by talking about Aston Villa. You already mentioned Ollie Watkins, Scott. We've got Aston Villa's next 3 fixtures are West Ham at home, Wolves away, and Ipswich at home. Scott, before we talk about Villa, actually, I want to talk about that first fixture, that West Ham fixture. Obviously, your Premier League team of choice in history. Have you been impressed by the first couple of games under Potter, or what have you felt? Do you think that's a good fixture? Is what I'm trying to get at for Aston Villa, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think the fact that it's a fixture at home makes a big difference. Like, I think West Ham away it should be a much trickier fixture now. New manager boost. I don't think the crowds and the supporters really likes Lopetegui, this style of football. So it was quite a drab place to play at. Whereas now you'd like to think that they're still, got that excitement about a new manager, so the place should be bouncing. Obviously, a couple of mixed results so far. Really good win against Fulham at home, but that was a big loss, I think, at home to Crystal Palace last game. I still think it's a nice fixture. Yes, I still think West Ham are missing some real key players. You look at Jared Bowen, obviously the main man there. You look at the striking options as well. Obviously, they're throwing a lot of money trying to get John Duran. Let's see if that will stick. Say Villa themselves have just brought in Marlon from Dortmund, who I do rate him. I think he is a decent player. Fulcrook, of course, out injured. So yeah, I don't think they've got the players at this moment in time. I certainly won't be bringing them in before the weekend's fixtures anyway. So is it a good fixture? Yes, I think it's a really good fixture still for Villa at this moment in time. I don't think Potter's got him fully going as of yet. And they've got to be full of confidence the way they fought back against Arsenal as well. So we watched the game together, and it was very much all Arsenal that game. But you said it yourself, this feels like a very big 5 minutes when they got the goal, and they were a different team. They were all over them, and obviously there was the goal ruled out for Arsenal towards the end, but anyone could have won that game. It was a bit of a basketball game at the end. So do I think it's a good fixture for Aston Villa? Yes. I don't. No one sort of springs to mind. If your next question is who would you look at this moment in time, it's a hold for Rodgers if you've still got him like me. He again looked bright in that game. I know he's been sort of in and out of sort of returning form, but he plays most of every game, and he's the one that going forward he looks the most attacking. And you know what's quite fun if you're watching the game? He's got that blonde hair, so he's easy to spot as well. So he'd be the one for me. Again, a lot of Digne owners such as me, they tried to roll the dice with Maddison, didn't work. Obviously got hooked. Digne comes on, gets an assist. So again, I'd be holding Digne. I wouldn't necessarily be chomping at the bit to get Digne in. But yeah, they'd be the two that I would be looking at, and maybe like a Matty Cash as well. So looks fairly dangerous, but still not too convinced on sort of an Ollie Watkins, especially when you've got strikers such as Chris Wood. You're still going to be backing Isaac at this moment in time as well, and potentially if you've still got Haaland, he's back apparently. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Goal involvement for Watkins, he's up there level with Eze, Haaland, sort of Ahmad and Bumo, Mateta. So he's getting the returns. He's got 4 goal involvements in 4 games, 3 goals in his last 4 and one assist. Started all 4 matches as well. I know Duran was suspended, wasn't he, for one of those, but he's obviously kept his place in there. He's right up there. I think he was equal second for shots, as well in terms of goal threat. So he's looking a little bit more himself, I think. From on the statistic point of view that you talked about for West Ham over the last 4 games in the league, and I know obviously Potter's only done 2 in the league, hasn't he, so far? Is it 2 or 3? 2, anyway, whatever. West Ham have had the lowest expected goals in the last 4 games. They've scored 4 and their XG is 2.94. They've kept no clean sheets and they've conceded 13 goals. So, yeah, I mean, new manager bounce. They're obviously not as bad as that, probably in terms of statistics, but yeah, it's. I agree with you in terms of I think it's still a fixture to attack. Barry, interested in your thoughts on Watkins in particular, because as a Haaland owner, and I'm not banging on about it again, but as a Haaland owner, their run of fixtures isn't great, and Haaland's form is meh for his value. Is Watkins someone you're looking at?
It was actually, I was going to mention it, to be honest, and it is, yeah. It was either Isaac or Watkins, and obviously Watkins is in form. Yes, obviously Newcastle's got Southampton away, but them 3 fixtures that Villa have got, the only issue I've got with Watkins is sometimes Duran might start because, as you mentioned earlier, with the rotation, with Watkins obviously starting tonight, obviously is Duran going to start at the weekend? So it's difficult on that one. So I don't think it's that good of a fixture, to be honest, because the European hangover they usually have with Villa, they usually struggle the next game. So for me, I think it could be, if, as obviously, I know we're not promoting betting and stuff like that, but obviously Scott mentioned about the evens on Watkins. What about a double chance on West Ham? West Ham or draw?
I
Could be an
think I
option on
think the
that
only
for me.
one that hangover is they're playing early on a Tuesday and they're not playing till 4:30 on Sunday. That's a long time in it to kind of recover and get over that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm just going by obviously history. So maybe I'm probably going to be wrong, like I have been all season, really, to be honest. But it's one of them where I'm thinking, hold on a minute, it could be a coupon buster. So for me, I might hang fire and keep Haaland for the Chelsea game because obviously we know Chelsea can concede. So I'm still umming and ahhing about that, and obviously I still want to try and keep faith with Haaland
You'll be
because
keeping Haaland all
I've lost
season,
it.
mate. Don't worry about it. He's in your
I probably
team
will. Yeah, I
all
probably will.
season.
100%
Even if
will.
he's injured, I'll keep it. You never know.
Gotta keep
My
that
thing,
value.
them fixtures for. I mean, we'll talk about it in a bit. That's gonna be on the list definitely to touch on. In terms of form, so form table, we've got West Ham are sort of mid-table in 11th, and you've got Aston Villa in 10th, right above them. So yeah, but yeah, form's an interesting one, isn't it? They've drawn 2 and won 2 in their last 4, and West Ham have lost 3 and only won 1. It's a tricky one, but let's also look at the fact that they're playing Wolves after that, who have lost their last 3. And what do you make of them under the new manager, Baz? Same old problems?
He tried some tactical switches. Like I watched the game and Madueke had 8 Nori on toast. To be honest, he just kept beating him every time, and then he swapped it with Semedo, and Semedo actually did really well against him. But 8 Nori looked suspect at right back. Um, so so I don't think they're going to be any good. Cunha looked like he just couldn't be bothered. He kept putting his corners out. He kept looking like he was shooting from the corners. I don't know if that's a tactic or what. Um, Maybe because obviously Sanchez is a bit flappy and he can't catch. Um, so yeah, so for me, it's the same. I've tipped them for relegation. I'm still sticking by that because they're so bad. And if Cunha's not playing well, they're just even worse.
Got ripped for his body language, didn't he? The manager had a go at him after, didn't he? In the press, like publicly said he didn't like his body language, which was,
Yeah.
I mean, that was only a headline I read. I didn't actually watch the press conference. There might be a little bit of more context, a little bit more context to that. You know, what headline grabs are like just to try and get you to click on things. But that's what it said on the Sky app, and I was like, well, it's an interesting statement to even rip your best player, but maybe he's kicking off for a move or something. I wouldn't be surprised. But let's see anyway.
Well,
But
there's apparently contract talks that they've verbally agreed, but he hasn't put pen to paper because he wants a potential relegation clause in his contract. So that might be why he's putting a stink out there, maybe.
I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised.
it's a bad attitude, isn't it? There's better ways of putting yourself out there. I feel like he's the kind of player that wants just a big money move to Saudi. Like, I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me. Um, yeah,
No,
hope they go down.
it's a
Kind of
shame.
like the manager though, a little bit.
It's a shame. It's a shame, really. Because yeah, but there you go. He's obviously a quality player, but he's just not doing it at the moment. And then we got the Ipswich game after that for Villa, who are also, I mean, they got absolutely hammered by City, which can happen to anybody, I suppose. But Scott, how do you feel about Ipswich? Obviously, it looks like Leicester and Southampton are really, really struggling and not doing anything good at all. Ipswich probably stand the best chance of survival, but what do you make of them?
Yeah, obviously, just so many different, so many similar vibes to what Luton did last year. Like they went for games of football. They actually played some really good football in spells. Obviously, tough couple of games. They've they've come across a City teams that's actually remember how good they are as footballers, and have started clicking. And that was just, I know we're going to touch on City, so I won't say too much, but that was such an old City performance, and it kind of good to see it from their perspective. But yeah, they just got beat by a team that was much better than them. I think the more disappointing game for him was the midweek game against Brighton. Didn't watch the game, still playing football myself, but from what I heard, the atmosphere was really flat. The players looked flat. They didn't look on it. What I will say for that Man City game is they kept running till the end, and Delap just looks like a quality player. Obviously, he won't be playing Championship football next year, regardless. He's a top flight player. He's brilliant. I think if they keep him fit, and I know it's an obvious thing to say, but if they keep him fit, they've got a hell of a chance. Because, like you say, contrast that with Wolves striker who's looking not bothered and wants to leave, chalk and cheese at the moment. And yeah, I think they've got a chance just because of how poor Wolves are still looking. Um, Everton, I think, will survive under Moisey. Look, again, I know we're going to touch on them, but a different team as well. But yeah, I think they've got a chance. They've just got to, I guess, probably shore up a bit at the back again because they look really fragile at the back. I think they were playing with three centre backs and they didn't look good or secure at all at the weekends. So yeah, they've still got a bit of work to do, but I feel like if they do get those sort of basics and keep the lap fit, they do have a chance of staying up as well.
Um, on the I know we've sort of talked about the opponents for Villa more there than we've actually talked about Aston Villa, but as a team this season, they have only kept 3 clean sheets in 22 matches, so it's really hard to look something like Ezri Konsa at 4.4. It looks great value on paper, but you can't be buying Villa defenders for defensive returns. I wouldn't go as far as say I'm a really happy Digne owner, but I am happy to have him and obviously to hold him for these 3 game weeks and play him every week. I'm the same with the Rodgers. I think they're quite low value, kind of risk-free picks in that sense, in terms of players to have in your team. I absolutely, if I was chasing in this league, I'd be looking at Watkins. He seems like he's the Premier League striker of choice. I think Duran started 18 matches and Watkins has 18. 4 matches and Watkins has started 18 out of the 22. So you're more than and you're pretty much always going to get minutes out of him because I think he's come on in every game. I'm pretty sure even if he's not started. So I still back him coming off the bench. I like him as a pick as somebody to punt on. But I'm not going to sell Isak for him, especially with Southampton being the next fixture. But if I had the money, then I wouldn't mind him being within the squad. Let's talk about Liverpool because they have a double game week, and it's the first double game week of the season. It's very exciting, isn't it? They've also got Ipswich at home and Wolves at home, either side of this double game week. Now, actually, the double game week, as we've discussed previously, and it's been sort of well publicised, from a attacking perspective, it might be quite tricky for them to get a massive returns because those two teams both perform quite well defensively at home, Bournemouth and Everton. So it might be a good game from a defensive perspective. And as a Trent owner, I'm obviously going to keep hold of him. But with Ipswich at home and Wolves at home, you're going to get some pretty chunky attacking returns. Salah, obvious. Probably your captain for the next 3 weeks in a row, near enough. Obviously debatable with the Southampton game for Isak next, isn't it? That's one, yeah. That's probably the debate, isn't it, really, in terms of captaincy. Trent owner happy with who else do we get? And it's the conversation we've had for about 5-6 seasons in a row. It's like Trent, Salah, and then another one. Scott, Gakpo, Diaz. Where do you hang your hat?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? I'd say less tricky now because unfortunately Jota has flagged again. Probably be okay by the next double game week, but again, I don't want him to rush him back in when he's had so many injuries, unfortunately, this season. Because quality player, by the way. Gakpo still seems like the one that's the most trusted. He's now gone 2 games without returns. Forest away at Brentford away. Not the easiest 2 games, to be fair, on paper. 2 of the trickiest, actually, this season. So probably don't dive too much into that. He would be the one that I would look at going for. Again, Luis Diaz, there is a bit of a rotation risk still. You'd think he probably would start. Depends if he mixes it up and maybe puts Darwin up top. He's scored them two great goals, by the way, at the weekend. And he might play Gakpo off off that left hand side and Salah on the right hand side. It is a bit risky. For me, it's Gakpo at the moment. Obviously, we've got a Champions League game and we've got another Premier League game. And then is there another Champions League game next week?
Yeah,
is that last week of the Champions?
So it's Champions League, Premier League, Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup, and then or is it FA Cup, League Cup, and then back to Premier again. There's a lot of games.
So you've got to throw Diego Jota into that mix then, obviously, and at this point. So it would be one of those. I think you've got to watch carefully in the next few fixtures, see who's on form, see who he's fancying. We were discussing it before the podcast. They're more or less through in the Champions League. They obviously want to finish in that, top 4. Probably want to win it. The first one ever to win this new format. But probably going to be resting some of the key players, I would have thought. So keep an eye on who he plays there. But for me, right now, gun to my head, it would be Gakpo. But again, that does take a forward position. But yeah, Gakpo would be the one, closely followed by Luis Diaz.
I agree with that. I also, it's just spending the money at the back's frustrating. But like if you're on a wild card, for an example, someone like Alisson is a strong pick, and then you've got players like, Virgil's just too expensive at 6.4 for me, but Konate's back and he's the starting centre half alongside him at 5.1. Seems quite good value. Baz, the floor is yours on Darwin.
What I will say quickly, just before we get on Darwin, them 2 fixtures are really weird now. Obviously, Bournemouth away and Everton away. Bournemouth should be struggling. They've got the most players out of anyone out. I think they've got like 11 first-team players out, injured or something ridiculous like that. They should be struggling and they're not. Everton, if we're going by what happened on the weekend, probably not mind playing them as much as an attacker because it's definitely seemed a bit looser at the back. But a bit more worries probably at the back now because it looks a bit stronger going forward. So But again, if you're looking at that double game week and you're putting a lot of emphasis on it, look at Bournemouth and Everton over the next game week as well. See how they play. Try and watch Match of the Day if you can, if you want to get super deep.
If you're a Liverpool fan, you're devastated that the game got cancelled because now Everton stand a chance in that derby, whereas before you were going to mow them. So
Oh, then the Liverpool fans will tell us, mate, if they're not picking 3 points, they'll moan, it'll be conspiracy, global warming, it's all, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it'd be all the lot. It'd be another, yeah, a reason for them not to get it. And this is why I think at the moment it's going to be sticking with Trent and Salah and not getting anyone else on board. But yeah, Baz, Darwin, you're bringing him in, aren't you?
I do actually. Right. So you mentioned Allerton. I was going to mention that as well. Saying about if you're on a wild card and you want to just have a keeper and just have him in, then Allison's probably going to be a man on that one. Darwin, he's definitely worth it. But the only problem is it's the rotation risk. Like as Scott mentioned, Gakpo's obviously the man at the moment, but obviously he likes playing Gakpo on the left. So and Jota coming back, so it's a very difficult one to pick who's going to play as the centre forward because I think the two wide men are nailed. It's just who's going to play as the number 9. Are they going to play a false 9 with Diaz, or are they going to play like a traditional number 9 with Nunes, or are they going to just have a Jota who's an out and out finisher in my eyes? And it's a shame that he's injured and potentially got a flag on him because he would be one of the players I'd be bringing in because he's a midfield option. And with forwards as well, there's quite a few to pick. And if you want to go, actually, I can only pick one out of Watkins and Gakpo, then you'd be picking Watkins over Gakpo in my eyes. So for me, if I want to gamble and go extremely rogue, then I probably might go for Darwin, but obviously I've still got potential chances to catch up. So he's all right if you want if he's available on a draft, but it's highly unlikely. But I think I won't be going out to get him unless obviously someone else gets injured in Liverpool's attacking
Yeah.
lineup.
But when he's 7 mil and Gakpo's 7.4, you're just gonna go Gakpo, aren't you? And that's and also what you have to remember is, and I can't remember exactly what Gakpo's ownership, I think it's 9%, 9.5%. He's still a differential. He'll still feature in our differential draft, I'm sure, when we do our diff draft in a bit. That's the sort of player right there that you still want on your list. The short answer is I would be, if I was wildcarding right now, I'd have Trent, I'd have Salah, and then I'd either go for, I'd probably go Alisson. How boring. But I probably would if I was going to go all three, because I think I'd back the defences in those games over I would trying to go for another attacker. And I think also that I'd counteract the rotation. Right, Scott, let's talk about City. Let's talk about them being back, and I'll run through their fixtures because you had some points about all of these fixtures that they've got coming up across their next 7. If you look at the FDR right now, you go, ugh, I'm not going to buy any City players. Chelsea at home, Arsenal away, Newcastle at home, Liverpool at home, Spurs away, Forest away, and then Brighton at home. Convince me. Convince Baz to keep hold of Haaland. Convince me to buy Foden.
I think I can convince you. Yeah, I mean, like Chelsea at home, it's a red fixture on there, but Chelsea concede pretty much every game. They concede a goal. They never keep clean sheets. Even last night against that Paul Wolves team, they conceded. So you're going to get chances there, and the way that Chelsea play as well, I think it's going to be quite an open game. So I think there's going to be a hell of a lot of chances. Arsenal away, it's the one that's probably I'm struggling on a little bit. But again, a team that's not keeping clean sheets anymore, got injury problems themselves. Saliba will probably be back for that. I'm sure he will be. But again, a team not full of confidence. Newcastle at home just got pumped heavily. Like not just by the scoreline, they were battered by a Bournemouth team with all those players out injured. Again, do concede goals as well. Liverpool at home concede goals. I feel like I keep saying concede goals. Do concede goals, but I've got a clean sheet in them. It's going to be a massive game, going to be up for it. Someone like Haaland delivers in those sort of games. And then Spurs away should never be a red fixture, so just ignore that. That should be green. Forest away should be a red fixture. And then Brighton at home, fairly inconsistent this season. So, look, I don't think it's one where you're going to be chomping to get two free City players in. It is a tough run, but I also think don't be so scared sometimes because if we're looking at that and we're go back to us talking about Aston Villa, a team that's looking for top six, seven position, and we're looking, oh, do we bring a Villa player in? Oh crap, hell no, do I bring a Villa player in for those fixtures? But we're talking about Man City, and that Man City team at the weekend looked like the Man City team of old. They were playing quick 1-2. The tempo of the game was quicker. Everyone wanted the ball. Everything was going through Kevin De Bruyne. Doku looked good on the wing. Foden's obviously looking excellent. Haaland making the runs forward, and they look, believe it or not, look pretty solid at the back. We've not said that about City in a long time, and they look solid. I know, like Delap had a fairly, he did a chance fairly early in that game, but other than that, they didn't really have a sniff at all. And I know you can say it's Ipswich Town, but every team's had a sniff against City in the past 2 seasons. So they feel like they're coming back. So the reasons I would say, just to sum up, it's Man City. They seem like they're coming back in form. And by having City players in that run, I think you're probably going to have a hell of a lot of differentials.
I think the last couple of points are the keys for me. Back in form, 3 wins and 2 draws in the last 5, third in the form table. The ownership of the City players is relatively low compared to what it normally is every season at this very moment in time. I totally agree on the fixture run. I actually think it's, for the next 7, it's fine, hard, fine, hard, fine, hard, and fine. In that, it's just that's the problem with the inconsistency. But when you've got someone like Foden, you know what he does when he's on form. De Bruyne as well, you know he can just go off. Now, I just feel like, so this is where we're going to talk a little bit about the premium assets, because I look at the Chelsea fixtures coming up, and City away, then it's West Ham at home, Brighton away, Villa away. You've got a player like Palmer, because the thing is, you're going to have to sacrifice probably a Palmer to get a Foden, probably, unless you can move some money around somewhere else. That's the debate, really. You can potentially sacrifice some money elsewhere and maybe sacrifice a Gordon to get someone like a Foden, but you're never going to do that with the next fixture being Southampton. So, yeah, I just don't see how we can get him in. I think that's the point I'm trying to make. I don't really see where I can make the moves to do that.
Yeah, I feel like the next 2 games. I feel like I'm just going by my team, which usually you can go by sort of your own team to see what other people have got. Like my team on paper this week looks amazing, which I'm sure a lot of other people's teams look like. So I'm not doing any transfers this week. Therefore, that takes us to that next game week. Am I going to be bringing in a City player for Arsenal win? Probably not, even though they've not looked as good as they could have been. So then naturally, you're probably not going to make any actions until game week 25. So yeah, if you're going to move, you need to probably move this week, but I don't think people will because I would say everyone's players have got nice fixtures.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the potential for a bench boost this week.
So even if you've got some on Maverick, even if you got on Maverick, Son, they've got Leicester, you're still not going to move it.
No, last 4 game weeks, Phil Foden 48 points, Chris Wood 41, next best Ahmad 33 though. So totally agree with what you're saying in terms of Foden. Looks like he's back. There's Clivert, Savinho, Isak, Mateta, and Bumo, and then you get into the Watkinses, and Haaland still is on that list. Baz, so just quickly on Haaland, probably holding him then, I assume.
I'm still debating because obviously I want to get on the Watkins train before it starts, similar to like I did with the Mateta. So I think he might be going at this moment of time. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment, even though it's very hard after that 6-0 demolition. So at this moment of time, Scott hasn't convinced me, and I was kind of debating what I could do to get, who could I get? Could I target? Because I've got free transfers. So that also helps. So even if I bank, I've got 4 for the next one, and there's a double game week. So there's a lot of potential movement, and I want to try and obviously get maybe a Liverpool player because I've only got one. I've only got Salah. and obviously and they've got Ipswich at home. So I want
Yeah,
to try and maybe get another one of them players in before the double game week anyway. So, and obviously with money in the bank, it's quite difficult to what I've got, and I've got Dibbling at 4.5. So, and I want to try and obviously upgrade him by releasing some funds. And I think Haaland's obviously the man to release the funds because he's so expensive to what he's putting out.
absolutely. Scott, so let's talk about bench boost options because there is a chance that this week's a bench boost shout. I've got my team on the screen at the moment. I just can't zoom out of it, which is really annoying because I want to try and show the whole team. Again, just can I click here? I'm trying to figure this out whilst I'm
What's control
oh, there
on?
we go. Oh, we go. Oh, yeah, it's live IT there. So my team at the moment got Raya and Fabianski. So Fabianski's probably not the best with Villa away. But then, yeah, Gabriel, Robinson, Kirkez, and Digne. I mean, I'm happy with starting all five of those defenders. Happy with starting all five of those midfielders: Gordon, Sarr, Palmer, Salah, and Rogers. And then again, I've got Wood, Isak, and João Pedro up front. So it's probably a no, but it is close. And I think some people this week will have the options. But what's your bench looking like?
Yeah, my pretty similar to yours, mate. When I've pretty much the same bench, I think. João Pedro, Fabianski, Kirkez, Digne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So I think, like you say, like I got to a point I was like, I have no idea who to play here. So I kind of want to play them all.
yeah.
Fabianski's obviously not great because, especially because you've got Rogers attacking him, so you kind of want to see attacking returns more. But you might get save points. But other than that, I'm quite happy. Obviously, Kirkez is the one I'm a bit nervous about versus Chris Wood. But we know the boy can just get up and get an assist or a goal. Anyway, so if the clean sheet goes, that's an opportunity. It's where the fixtures are as well. Kirkez at home to Forest. Loads of home fixtures. I'm a home whore. Like I love home fixtures. And the ones that I've got away fixtures, Isaac it is my three Newcastle boys, and it's where it's Southampton. Don't get me wrong, Southampton can score goals. Not thrilled about Lewis Hall. But again, how many times does Lewis Hall pop up with an assist? So, like you said, that this season more than any other season ever, we're going to have hardly any double game weeks where you would usually try and use your bench boost. So for me, I've looked at that and go, do you know what? I might just punt it this week.
Mm.
I'm in a minute. I probably am, to be honest with you, because it's even a Palmer away at City. I know we've just been banging on about it seem like they've turned the corner, but it's Palmer. Didn't watch the game last night. Apparently played really well still, even though he didn't return. And then the other one
Should have
there,
done.
yeah, the other one, Joel
Madueke
Ped.
nicking that shell of a goal, which was an assist for him, was brutal, actually, as a
Unlucky,
captain.
mate.
Uh,
Join us, and then no returns this week. But yeah, even the João Pedro, like super unlucky to have like goal this time, took it so well. Watched the game, looked really good against Man United. I was impressed by him. So the fact that he's not returned in 2 games week doesn't put me off João Pedro at all. I think he looks good. So yeah, for me, and again to emphasise the fact that in other seasons we've had double game weeks going out our ass. Not this season. So if you think you've got a good bench like Nicola Tomlinson did, get on it because how many times in past seasons as well have we gone, oh, double game week? Let's get the players in. I'm bench boosting. Got 4 points on my bench. Happens so often. So I'm probably going to do it. And if it doesn't work out, it.
yeah, it means he saves you planning for later as well, which is a classic old FPL thing. I think if I was going to bench boost this week, I'd be really tempted to maybe sub out Fabianski maybe for Dubravka or somebody and maybe use one of the transfers on that, but then you just sat with a dead keeper on your bench. But I would obviously be wildcarding anyway to get rid of him later down the line, and I'm happy with Raya. So I think I don't know. I just feel like I might do. I put 3 free transfers, so if I do bench boost, I probably would use one or two of them just to strengthen the bench up. But thinking about wildcards in the next sort of 5 or 6 game weeks, so I'd be happy with that anyway. So yeah, it'd be a thought. I'm happy with the front three. I'm happy with the midfield five. It probably would just be maybe a Fabianski for somebody else. I just think he's just a bit of a dead player sat on there. I think that's a guaranteed like 1 pointer or maybe even 2 point. Hey, watch him keep a clean sheet now. So let's do. I wanted to just touch on AI and a bit of form stuff, and then we'll go on to captaincy, which we've kind of already discussed, to be fair. But let's have a look at predicted points. Game weeks 23, 24, 25, and 26. Inevitably top is Mo Salah. That's a shock. Then it's Palmer, Isak, Haaland, all the usual suspects at the top. It's got Luis Diaz slightly ahead of Gakpo, but Watkins is right up there with Foden just behind and just ahead of Kevin De Bruyne. So from an AI perspective, they think the best three Liverpool assets are Salah, Trent, and Diaz, just ahead of Gakpo. So that's an interesting one. In terms of forwards, you've got Isak, Haaland, Gakpo, Watkins, and then behind that is your Vissers and Havertz. Mateta's still up there though, and I think Brentford and Man United, the next two fixtures, great to have Mateta for. Everton at home, you're not unhappy with it, or Fulham away. I think again we've still got that. He's obviously a hold at that point. Right, let's do captains. Where are you? Where's your armband at the moment? Mine's currently sat on Mo Salah, and then I've got Isak as vice. But for me, it is basically a flip between the two of them. What do you think, Scott? And then Barry, we'll come to you on yours.
Yeah, no, mine's on Robinson, the Fulham defender, because
Not
what
interested.
I did was I spun a wheel and I landed on Robinson, and I decided actually I'm going to listen to the wheel. So what Baz did, he put all his players on a wheel, spun it twice, ended up being Robinson both times. Still ignored it. And if anyone doesn't know, Robinson returned 8 points this game week. So how did that go down, Baz?
Well, I had Haaland captain, so it was not as bad as your player's captain, so not too bad. Only lost on 4 points.
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Yeah, Salah captain this week. No question. Isaac looked off it last game, and they're away. Liverpool are at home, and it's Salah, and he's not returned in 2 weeks, so he's due.
Southampton are just so bad, though, Baz, aren't they?
They are, but I thought they're a goal threat, aren't they? So they score a few goals, but obviously they leak so many. And if you've got Isaac, you'd be like, yeah, he's definitely going on it. But Ipswich conceded 6 at home, and usually they're good at home. So yeah, I think I've only got really Salah to choose really from. So or go crazy and go Murphy, but Murphy hasn't looked the same either. So
Oh, God, no.
yeah,
No,
so
God, no.
100% Salah for me.
Yeah, 100% Salah
No
for
Will
you.
this week.
Um,
Murphy.
I think at the end of the day, mine's on Salah at the moment. It's probably going to stay there, and it's exactly the same, Scott, as you for that reason. It's the home fixture.
What I would say is, if you want, do you know what? If I was 50, maybe like 50, 60 points off a league I really wanted to win, I've got my team now, I would be very, very tempted to slap it on Trent. Unbelievable chance at home to Ipswich to keep a clean sheet. And you know he returns assists and is looking a bit more on it. So I don't think Trent's quite out of the question.
That's interesting. Do you know the player I thought you were going to say if you were going to go left field? It was Anthony Gordon. That's who I thought you were going to suggest.
No, I brought him in last week, didn't he? And he was all
I
right,
know
not bad display.
I know they had a bad game against a good Bournemouth team, but before that, the last 5 weeks, they've won 5 games in a row. They've looked very, very, very good. So I don't know. I hope it was just an off it week for them, and they're playing the worst team in Premier League history. So I think if I was going to be to be honest, if I was going to be like punter, I'd just put it on Isak because I think everyone's captaining Salah. Like it's just what it'll be overwhelming Salah captaincy. Played this game for long enough. It'll be like 80% Salah.
Yep.
So if you're going for a differential captain this week would be Isak. And he's been on an electric form. One bad game. He's unreal for the 12 games before that. So that's where I think that's actually where I'd be going if I was going to be a little bit more gambling. But I'm too long in the tooth and scared. So Salah. That's how it is. You know, it was funny. I was scrolling through the FPL league, and every single player who I thought would captain Salah this week. So Jeff Belcher, Gavin Webb, FPL hardcores, all these guys who have obviously played FPL for a very long time, and all of them went, I just can't go against Salah. because I've just been bitten by him too many times for the last 7 years of my life or whatever it is. And then all the other people who obviously a little bit newer to it were like going for different players. And fair play to the Chris Wood picks, by the way. I just think, I mean, I know it was one of those three for us, and yeah, fair play for having the Stones.
I had
Right,
it on him till last minute.
it's one of them. Yeah, one of them with that. Differential draft results then for game week 22. We've got the winner, Scott. Kinky in goal. Kinski.
Yeah, top scored out of all our keepers. Nice.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, I just said I don't even want Skalacic. I didn't even bother. I mean, Ortega didn't even play for Bath. Edison was back, gets a clean sheet. That was brutal. Yeah, Williams at the back. Obviously, that lack of clean sheet wasn't great. Elanga and Delap. But to be honest, Scott, your team was rubbish. And then Foden smashed it, 19 points.
Yeah.
So great pick from you. I had Slacic, Milenkovic, Savinio all returning 2 points between the three of them. Hudson-Odoi with 6 points, and Mateta was my man with 13. And then Baz had Ortega, Murillo, James, Gibbs-White, and Richarlison. So you got 5 points from Gibbs-White, 5 points from Richarlison, 6 from James. He wasn't. You should have still picked James, but you should just not pick Murillo and gone for De Bruyne, Baz.
Yeah, it should have been. But I thought obviously Southampton at home, thinking Forest are really good defensively, but concede two. I'm like,
No.
what is going on? And then obviously I wish I listened to Scott when Ortega had his argument with Pep, and obviously Edison started, and it's cost me 7 points. So yeah, that would have put me joint with guy from across the pond. So yeah, but hey, and also I was too stubborn to pick Kevin De Bruyne because Scott picked Foden.
Did Guy win then this week?
Yeah, guy won for the fans. He got 24, and then there was a battle for basically third place between yourself, Alex, and Judith and Chris, and Chris won that.
Oh,
And then
good
obviously I
day.
wouldn't spoon.
God damn it. Right, so that puts you as first pick then, Baz, doesn't it? So,
Yeah.
should I just write Harry Wilson down straight away?
No. Let me just get all my information up. Who am I gonna go for? Should I go crazy and go all under 0.1 or something like that?
You
Oh,
might as well. He's still winning by miles.
well, there is that. I'm gonna go for Gakpo.
Oh, so
Boring.
so boring, Baz. Boring. Of all the players, he's like, oh, should I go different? Should I go different? He goes for the obvious first pick, 9.5% owned Gakpo. I am gonna go for because I did enjoy that. I'm gonna go for Martinelli, my first pick.
Bruno Guimaraes.
Is he still the one? Can you still have 5% as under five?
You can have 5% as under
How
five,
many
mate.
times? How long have we been doing this? And I get the
I'm
stick.
just checking.
Honestly.
I'm just
And
checking.
I get this.
Jeez.
Scott's absolutely on it. So I'll get the fixtures up on the screen as well for everyone who's watching on YouTube.
Uh, I'm gonna
Unbelievable.
have Son
Ooh,
at 5%
son.
owned.
Yeah, good
Uh,
shout. That's
I
5%.
I think it is time for me to go with. Do you know what? I'm gonna go Havertz at 7.9 because I don't like any of the other strikers that are left.
I'm gonna go for might Bazzy Gamble. Do I Bazzy Gamble? Put Bazzy Gamble, yeah.
Well, Bazzy Gamble.
Without a Bazzy Gamble. It's all right when he came on, didn't he? And scored. So yeah, we'll go Richarlison.
Oh,
0.4%.
oh, there he is.
Hero. I'm gonna pick my goalkeeper, and I'm gonna go for Scott's favourite, Kinski.
Yo,
Oh,
gig.
I'm also going to go for my goalkeeper, and I'm going to go for Dubravka at 3%.
I'm also gonna go. I'll go for Verbruggen.
Yeah, he's the only other goalkeeper that I think he could have picked, really, to be
Yeah,
honest, on
they
that
were
list,
three
wasn't
goalkeepers I had.
it?
Let's go for my other. I'm gonna go for Sabozlai 1.5.
Yeah. Interesting. I'll go for Canate 4.3. It's 4.3. It's 4.3, I think. Left myself with my under one for my last one in the midfield.
I am going to go for. No, you just said Canate, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. How many times do we do
Yes.
this, Scott?
Yes. No. Hey, young man. I actually corrected myself there.
You two need to stop
So,
going at it in this podcast. Everyone's going to think you're falling out.
true.
True.
I might go for too much of a. Oh, what do I even need? Defender in a minute. Matoma! He looked quite. He's on right form, Matoma, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing all right, to be fair. We should have probably discussed him on the podcast, really.
Yeah, get him. 5.3% owned. He's returned 22 points in 2 game weeks.
Yeah, been on flames, to be fair. One was against Man United, though, so it's pretty easy to get 12 points.
Yeah,
Man U away and Ipswich away, two of the easiest fixtures on the calendar.
And
Barry, final pick.
I'm gonna go
gonna go.
for Livermento 1.9.
Nice, I like that. I like that pick. And I'll go for my under one. I'm going to gamble that he starts, and I like Curtis Jones at 0.5.
And we will go Matty Cash at 1.2%.
I like that pick, Scott.
Thanks.
I like that pick.
I like my team.
I don't mind my team this week. So Dubravka, Canate, Jones, Martinelli, Havertz. So Newcastle, double Liverpool, double Arsenal. Pretty strong, isn't it, to be fair, normally. What are you saying, Scott? What's your team?
I'll tell you what, I've not doubled up on anyone. I've got 5 unique teams here. I've got Verbruggen for Brighton, Cash for Villa, Bruno Guimaraes for Newcastle, Matoma for Brighton, and yeah, my gamble up top, Richarlison for Spurs.
So 4 home players and 1 away.
Yeah, you know me, I'm an absolute whore for it.
Yeah, I went 3 away too. Baz, your team?
I've gone for double Spurs, so that means I'm probably gonna bottle it. So Kinski in goal, Livermento, Szoboszlai, Son, and Gakpo.
Very nice. Yeah, definitely the best striker out of the lot, that's for sure. There, great stuff. Well, we'll follow us. Don't forget to send in your teams to Barry and look for his write-ups on the FPL Affairs Facebook group. Yeah, watch out for that because it's always good fun to read Barry's ramble after the differential draft. I really enjoy reading it, especially when I win. So it's always good to read. Lads, that's it, I think, for this week. So thank you very much for joining us, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us 5 stars where you get your podcast from. Click the little icon so you get notified when we put a new one out there. Follow us, social media platforms, Wonderful Pod, Wonderful P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and also the FPL Affairs group on Facebook. Scott, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure as always.
Barry, thank you for joining us from your car park.
Thank you very much for having me.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye for now.